everybody. Warm welcome to Amazing You Podcast and YouTube channels, the channels where stories of resilience, triumph, and unwavering hope come to life. And in each episode, we dive into the inspiring journey of individuals who have faced the toughest challenges heads on and emerge victorious. Our aim is to be a beacon of inspiration, offering a guiding light to those navigating through difficult times. And whether today you are dealing with health challenges, professional setbacks, or personal struggles, this channel is dedicated to uplifting your spirit and showing you that even in the darkest moments, there is a path to hope and triumph. So join us as we share powerful stories that transcend adversity and reminding you that resilience is a force within us all. So please, everybody, be prepared to be inspired and to find the strength to navigate life's challenges. And I would like to say a huge thank you to the viewers and the listeners for listening, watching, sharing, and subscribing for the past 3 years. Thank you for your support, and for anybody for whom it's the first time, welcome to the channels. Really happy to have you, and please continue to share and subscribe and let as many people know as possible, because we just want to inspire you, to give you hope, and to make the world a better place. So I am your host, everyone. My name is Dr. Rani Thanacoody. I am a clinical hypnotherapist using rapid transformational therapy method. I am a Mars Venus life and relationship coach, astrologer, tarot reader, breathwork coach, past life regression practitioner, chakra practitioner, and life force compassion practitioner. And today, I am very, very excited to introduce you to my beautiful guest, all the way from South Africa. Her name is Haseena Patel. Haseena is a conscious entrepreneur, healing edge coach, medical intuitive, Akashic Records reader, poet, sound healer, and the author of the book, The Truth Walker's Journey, the unbecoming of who you are not. And Haseena is also the co-founder of Leave No Girl Behind International. Welcome to Amazing You, Haseena.
Thank you so much. It's such an honor to be with you on this wonderful podcast, and so awesome that you're doing these podcasts to give people hope.
Thank you. I am very, very honored to have you on the podcast. And thank you for reaching out to me on social media. That's how we got connected, with the power of social media. And I am very grateful that you reach out to me, and look at how beautiful it is now, that collaboration being part of the podcast. So I just want to tell the audience, it's nice to be able to reach out to people, make new connections, because you never know the power of connections, where it will take you. And I am today blessed to have you on my podcast. So thank you for taking your time, Haseena, to talk to the audience and to share your precious wisdom and knowledge.
Thank you. Interesting when you talked about social media. I'm of the same belief that I don't want the people who are like social media friends or connections to be just little thumbnails on a page. They need to. Why don't we get to know each other and get into community? It's such a healing thing to do, to be in community, to be connected.
Yes. And we are made for connection. We are born for connection, Haseena. As a baby, when we are born, we want that connection from our mother. But as we grow up, we lose that connection with our education system, with society, and we become disconnected from who we truly are. And then when we become around 40, 50, we start to look for ourselves and find why we are so disconnected with everything, because we lost that connection with who we are. And then we start to do all the healing work and trying to build that connection. And Haseena, I have been blown away by all the modalities that you have learned and that you are practicing as a practitioner, coach, and entrepreneur. So tell me briefly about your story, your journey.
Well, we can start with the point of disconnection. And I know when you were asking me about the title of my book before we started, that's what the subtitle is: The Unbecoming of Who You Are Not, The Truth Walker's Journey, The Unbecoming of Who You Are Not. And just from there, it is that disconnect. We get so indoctrinated into what we should do, should believe, the mold that that we're supposed to fit into. And I was there. And so this whole journey of becoming aligned with my own truth, and even just knowing my own truth, actually started at one of the origin points in my story was when I was a teacher by profession, teaching in many different ways, and actually was tutoring school children at the time. And I realized I wasn't so happy. I was just going through the motions. One gets to the point of emptiness when you've had the growth and nothing is there. And that is probably the most empowering point, even when you do feel unhappy about it. So I was there, and I noticed a growth in my breast, a benign growth. It was a fibroadenoma, and it was the size of a lemon. And I am only, in British terms, 1 meter 52, in American terms, 4'11" and a half. And you've got to ask yourself, who doesn't notice something so big? And it wasn't that I didn't notice. It was that I wasn't paying attention to self. I wasn't loving myself. And that led me to question after question. And the short version is that it led me to a blog, which led me to the book, and the book came through me. And that is probably the best description of what it was about, because throughout my life, since a child, growing up non-white in apartheid South Africa, I've been finding truth. And this, what I'm describing now, is one of the major times of my life where I actually recognized myself finding truth and just opened up to everything and surrendered.
Okay, yeah. So that must have been very surprising for you to have that pain in your body and that lump in your body, and that changed everything for you. That must have changed everything in your life, the way you do things. And so tell us, how did you heal yourself on that journey?
Well, healing, I feel, it's many different forms. So a lot of people think it's just physical, but it's really mind, body, spirit. It's the whole being, coming into alignment. So what happened was, I knew that I had to have an excision after the after I had the tests and the scans and whatever. And I also knew within myself, before I even heard it, that it was benign. And the fear is still there, because there's the ego going, are you sure? Are you sure? And feeling that, I started now asking myself questions like, am I doing what makes me happy? And that's when I actually started looking at healing in a new light. And it was about mind, body, spirit. And I wanted to do something energetically. And I began to explore different modalities. So in that sense, it sort of shifted me and made me notice things that I was numb to, that I wasn't really noticing. So yeah, that's how it really started. And I had the excision and I was blogging the journey. So I remember saying to the guy who did the excision, was a plastic and reconstructive surgeon, saying to him, I have a special request. I want to see this fibroadenoma because I'm on this spiritual journey. And he kind of thought, oh, I thought you wanted horses in the theater or something when we do it. And we had a laugh. And he said, look, you're going to be too out of it to even notice. And I suggest I take a photo for you. And I said, okay, that works, which he did. And it was almost a communication with it, like, why am I afraid seeing you? Like, what is it that I'm feeling and why? And so the bloods continued, and then more came, because then it was about, well, how do we get to know our truth? How do we take all those layers, placed on us by the village that raised us, by society in general, every opinion, expectation, every norm, cultural norms, religious norms, all of that, and then find just the bare naked truth of who one is. Yeah.
Wow. That's incredible, the journey you've been, Haseena. Thank you for sharing that, because I know today, while we are talking, there are people watching and listening to you who are at that point in their life, who are going to have a surgery. And you sharing that is going to give them hope that this is not the end. There is nothing to fear, that to do what they need to do, but to start working on their inner self, working on themselves, to rediscover themselves. So thank you for sharing that, because this is very, very important to help the audience. Yeah. For all those who are listening, maybe even if you are a gentleman, you might have sisters, mothers, cousins, so that would help them to share with their family. So thank you. And writing that book, what was some of the biggest internal shifts that you experienced while writing your book?
Well, that's such a great question. I always describe a book as I'm not a mother, and I always describe the book as like you give birth to this book, and it's an extension of who you are. And so the shift takes place at those surprising moments when words come out of you that you didn't even know. And I say the book came through me because there were things that came through me. And when I read them back, I was blown away by, all these epiphanies. So I know it was more than mine. I was in alignment with whatever you want to call it, source, God, higher self, or whatever you call it, or even your center, if you don't believe that. So I was in alignment with that part. And we're all part of all that is. I believe that. So I just trusted that and everything that came through. And it became about to shift into that space. We need to go through a process. And it's not just simply thinking positive, right? It starts with a process of how can I really raise my vibration from the foundation outwards. And I saw something while I was waiting in your waiting room where it said, I am in a beautiful space of gratitude. And that's one of the building blocks that I describe in the unbecoming process. That gratitude is the most basic thing that you can do. It doesn't matter how you're feeling. One of the versions of gratitude when you're really not feeling good is just asking yourself, well, um, what would make me feel good? And it could be the color, like the color of the that beautiful blue behind you, you know. It could be whatever it is, a smell, a taste, any basic thing, and you just move up from there because you feel a little better. And then you say, well, what am I grateful right now? And it might just be your heartbeat. Maybe that's all you can get. And then you really feel it. And you get to the next vibration without even knowing it. And it gets a bit better. And then I teach 4 other building blocks, and all this is the unbecoming process, depending on what the situation is. And I feel it's so important. We don't all have 2 hours or 3 hours to meditate, but we do have 2 minutes in the moment when, no matter the situation, where no one even knows, we're going into these building blocks and shifting ourselves, and we come out giving better, being better, and being able to receive how people are interacting with us.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing about that. That's one of the building block of your book, because I truly believe that gratitude it's something very simple. We don't need money, we don't need to buy a course. It's something that we can do even from just waking up in our bed. It's something so simple, you know. Thank you for sharing that. And I would like to ask you what self-care practice that you do every day to keep yourself uplifted, to keep yourself so energized, always smiling. What is it that you do? Tell us a bit your secret, your secret recipe.
Well, I do use the 5 building blocks that came through me of, unbecoming who I'm not. So anytime that there's there's my ego that gets in the way, or something external happens that where I'm not in alignment, and I find that I'm not feeling that happy anymore, that, I recognize that, and have these small shifts. One of the things I do regularly is the gratitude building block, and I also do the meditation building block, which, I have a way of meditating once or twice a day. And then, there are 3 other building blocks, which is connection, education, and empathy. And before a big event, I know we have a short time here, so I won't go into it, but, I'd use empathy, the empathy building block. Say if I was going into a network situation, I'd use the education building block. And then the connection, I'd connect or go into the Akashic Records, however one does connect, just connecting with all that is, or whatever you want to call that. So that's what I use. And I also listen. One of the things I do is, which I also find I group under the meditation building block, is Abraham Hicks. Love to listen to Abraham Hicks.
It's amazing, the teaching of Abraham Hicks. Yeah, the teaching, she does some cards reading, some weekly cards that I have seen as well, some posts. They are beautiful. Yes, these meditations are really very powerful. Yeah, thank you for sharing what you do, because it's why I wanted you to share, because it's so important to take care of ourselves. It's not only going to a salon, having our hair done, but it's the little things we can do on a daily basis without in the comfort of our home, in our office. So these are little things that keeps us uplifted. Going to the hairdresser, that is good for once a month if you have enough money. But these are little gifts you can give to yourself and do daily. Yes, thank you. Thank you, Haseena. And you mentioned, I was reading on your bio that you are the co-founder of that non-governmental organization called Leave No Girl Behind International. So can you tell us what inspired this initiative and what has been its most powerful impact so far?
I think that I came into this world feeling so strongly about gender equality. I can remember as far back as 3 years old, just feeling that. Um, so I'll tell you a very quick story. When I was about 11-ish, I was in grade 6, and my teacher was teasing us, saying that, oh, the girls are going to do sewing and the boys are going to do leather crafting. And of course, she knew that we all were wanting to do leather crafting. And I just felt this kind of anger rise up in me, not knowing that she was teasing. And she was such a beautiful soul. And I said, well, if my children were at a school like that, and they were, and my daughter had to go through that, I would sue the school for sexual discrimination. That was what I said. And she looked me in the eye and kind of picked me up and said, you were so cheeky. But she was also allowing me that freedom to say, I know, just allowing that freedom. And of course, we all got to do leather crafting, but I remember just noticing it. So when I finished school and started in my years after that, and I was tutoring school children, teaching in schools, I realized how much girls felt that they were less than, in ways that were subtle and in ways that were obvious. Like traditionally, things that people thought were traditionally male tasks, something as simple as changing a plug. We all have a brain. We can do that. And just because of the gender roles, a lot of girls felt they couldn't switch on the PA system at an event and get it right, or they couldn't, do things like change a plug. So my sister and I started mentoring girls, and then eventually we started building programs to empower girls. So Leave No Girl Behind International is a nonprofit where we empower girls through leadership programs. And our 6 principles are love, strength, courage, freedom, equality, and unity. And we do this now. We used to do it in person a lot. Now we do it all online. So we have a program where we gather online, and the young women 12 to 24 from different countries, and they'll come on a Zoom like this, and we have opportunities for them to network and to just have discussions and have successful speakers mentoring them and teaching them. So, yeah.
I think that's beautiful that you have such a nonprofit organization to help women, to help young girls, and to empower them, to give them a space as well where they can feel safe, where they can open up and know that they are supported. And I really applaud you for that. And it's beautiful that you are doing that to help women, to help girls. Yeah, thank you. And we are coming towards the end. I've got still many questions, but I will do only two questions. So I know you have encountered many impactful books, Haseena, on that journey because of the depth of your knowledge. I can see just talking to you. Could you highlight a few books that have profoundly influenced you and briefly explain to us why?
So I'd say one of the first books that I read as a teenager, and I picked it up by accident, was by Judy Blume, and it was called Letters to Judy. And all these teenagers were writing their letters because she could really connect with them in a way that parents of her generation usually couldn't connect with their children. And I read this, and it was divided into all these different topics. So at 13, at 14, and the only reason I picked it up was because I read all her childhood, all her books in the childhood books. And just picking this up, it really made a profound difference to me because I felt understood. So that was really the first book that I can think of. But there've been so many along the way. There's Good Morning, Mr. Mandela, which, as a South African, it's by Zelda Lachransi, his PA. And I so enjoyed reading about the truth of the man, but also, you never know what someone who's a leader is going through or what they're dealing with behind the scenes. And this was really eye-opening to me as a South African. There's another book, I don't know if it's still in print, called Flying Tigress by one of my heroes, a pioneering pilot, Nora O'Neill, who's not with us on Earth anymore. I had the blessing to meet her in person, and she was the first woman to land, to fly a DC-8 jet, to land a Boeing in certain countries in the world like Japan, Malaysia, Saudi Arabia.
Right.
And she really opened the door because women's rights weren't there was no gender equality, especially for traditionally male careers and things like that. And I was just amazed by the footsteps that she walked, and never take it for granted that there are women who did that. So those are some of the books that have really inspired me.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing those books, those title of those books, and why they've inspired you. Because I think reading give us so much a deeper understanding of ourselves and also of how other people live their life, what they've experienced. It really helps us to evolve as a human reading. So thank you for sharing that, Haseena. And my last question to you is, what are the projects or initiatives that you are currently working on, and how can the audience stay updated and get in touch with you?
Well, thank you for asking that. So, two of the major projects that I am busy with, I'm part of the Hague Center for Global Governance, Innovation and Emergence, and we're organizing the World Peace Forum 2025 in South Africa, which is a wonderful way of all of us, no matter who we are, which organization we represent, coming together, not just making a statement about peace, but really coming together to do something and to build peace in a different way, in a really practical way. So that's happening in November. I'm really excited about that. my other project is conscious relationship marketing, which it really inspires me because I believe entrepreneurship, we've reached a space where it's conscious. It's not about hustling, about, just going through the motions of doing things and a numbers game. We need to connect with people, like really be in community and empower and be in the space of giving and receiving and flowing in alignment. So that is one of the newer projects I'm doing, and that's on my website. So if anyone wants to reach me, they can go to my website, haseenapatel.com, and they can connect with me. I welcome emails, and I just love connecting with people, and they can just read about my projects.
Thank you. Thank you. Wow, Haseena. Thank you so much for sharing that. And what about your nonprofit organization? If girls and young women want to connect, how can they connect and join and be part of that?
Thank you for asking that. They can actually go to leavenogirlbehind.org, and even on the homepage, my sister built the website, and if you scroll down the homepage, you'll see that there's a tab called the Young Women's Global Leadership Network, and that's the program I described. And just get a sense of, where we are, and especially for parents and teachers, you want something that really is aligned with value and what you'd like your young women to grow up with. So just get a sense of who we are and what we do there.
Thank you for sharing that. That's very helpful. So anybody who wants to connect and join Haseena's network, please feel free. The links are going to appear below. And Haseena, it's been such a pleasure talking to you. And before we end, what final message or final words would you like to share with the audience today?
I've been thinking about that today, and what came to me today is that there is no one truth. We don't look at things as they are, because they're never the same. Even if we look at the same moon in the same sky, two different people describe it differently, or, we look at it from different angles. So there is no one truth, and we get to go within and just be aligned to what feels right and to trust that. So I think that is my message, just that recognition in a world where people just want to, they'd like their truth to be everyone's truth. And we all have those moments. So.
Yes, that's so true. Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you for taking your time to be on the podcast and the YouTube channels. It's been an honor to host you today, and I wish you a lot of success. Thank you for sharing your incredible journey of resilience and hope and inspiration, and keep shining your light. And I wish you a lot of success moving ahead. Thank you, Haseena.
Thank you so much. It was great having a conversation with you.
Thank you. And it's been a pleasure. And thank you to the audience for watching, for sharing and subscribing, everybody. And I would like to say that each one of you, remember that you are amazing. You have always been amazing, and you always will be amazing. Wish you well, everybody. Lots of love. Bye-bye.